Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy Miguel, and the reason why I'm excited today, even though it doesn't look like it, is because I have the Vivo X100 Pro in my hands today, and this phone is an underdog if I was to classify this phone, because when you hear about Vivo, it's not a company that you think high performance. Usually they are focused on budget phones, and the most exciting part about this is that this is the third phone of this year that I've been reviewing, which is a flagship, and this is just January, so I'm excited to see what 2024 has ahead of us. And it's exciting to see companies like Vivo come forward and do things like this, because it kind of tells you what these companies are capable of if they actually focus on making a good, reliable flagship phone that actually doesn't cost flagships. And that's probably one of the best things about the Vivo X100 Pro, because this phone costs at least $400 to $500 less than, let's say, the latest flagship that we have right now, which is the S24 Ultra. And this competes right up there. It competes actually also to some extent with the OnePlus 12, which is probably one of the craziest phones of this year as well. Now this phone, as you can see from the box, is camera focused. So even you can see that we have the ring over here, which represents the back camera ring on this phone, and you can see that's co-engineered with Zeiss, which means that the camera system or the color grading is actually done by Zeiss. Zeiss is a company that at one point in time was partnering up with, I believe, Nokia to come up with really good camera systems, and they kind of fell off. But Zeiss is a pretty well-known company when it comes to opticals and when it comes to camera systems. So we're going to go ahead and unbox this. Let's look at what we have over here. So we have the Star Tail blue color, and this also comes in an orange color, a black color, and also with a white color in some areas. And we have 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of internal storage. You can buy this with 256 gigs as well, and you can have the option of 12 gigs if you want the 256 version. But if you go for the 512 version or the 1 terabyte version, then you only get 16 gigs of RAM out of the box. So let's go ahead and unbox this beast of a phone. Alright, so we have the phone over here, and I'm going to look at some of the things that we get out of the box. So, ooh, that's pretty hefty. So we have the wire. This is a USB-C to USB-C cable, and it looks like on this side we get a 120 watt charger. So this, out of the box, this comes with a 120 watt charger, which is way more than what I've currently seen. The OnePlus actually had a 100 watt charger. The phone will still only support 100 watts of fast charging, but you do get a 120 watt charger out of the box, which is crazy. You have the SIM pin over here, and then you also have the booklet, some, I believe, warranty information, and I don't know if this comes with a case or not. Yeah, it does actually come with a case. So yeah, so the paperwork, and then you have the transparent case with that big cutout at the back, which signifies that this is a camera-centered phone. Looking at the phone just right away, like, it tells you that, I mean, it actually kind of feels a lot like you're holding a mirrorless camera, because the double bump or the double step down bump of the camera kind of mimics the mirrorless cameras, the point and shoot mirrorless cameras that we used to have a while back. Let me go ahead and just take this off real quick. Wow, and the color that we have is the blue color. We have the Extreme Imagination Vivo Zeiss co-engineered mentioning over here, and this has a triple camera setup, and all three cameras are actually a 50 megapixel camera system. The wide, the ultra wide, and the periscope camera, they're all 50 megapixels, and that's pretty crazy. Now, looking at the design, we have glass on the back and we have glass on the front as well. There's a slightly tapered, slightly curved glass on the back and even on the front, and then we have aluminum frames on the side, so you are getting that premium feel. The phone is a little bit on the bigger side, and it's a little bit hefty as well, and I'm assuming because of the back camera system. And this also comes with IP68 water resistance, which means that you can dunk it in up to 1.5 meters of water for around 30 minutes without any problem at all, and that's impressive for a phone that has such big cameras. Looking at the design overall, we have an IR blaster on the top, so you can actually control appliances like TVs and other things that have infrared sensors. You have the power button on this side, you have the volume rockers, and then you have a speaker system down here, the USB-C port, and you also have the SIM jacket. Now, depending on where you are, this will even have the option of dual nano SIMs, or you can have an eSIM alongside with one nano SIM. Now, the display is pretty decent, and I have to say that this reminds me a lot of the OnePlus 12 display, because this is very similar to that. You have a 6.78-inch AMOLED display, which is LTPO with 120 Hz of refresh rate, which means that it's continuously changing the refresh rate. It can go down to 1 Hz whenever it's needed to save battery, and it can go up to 120 as well whenever it's needed. So you are getting a very premium display. And talking about premium displays, so we just heard Samsung come out with a 2600 nits brightness display. This actually goes up to 3000 nits of brightness, so this is equally as bright as the display on the Apple Watch Ultra 2. Now, the only thing is that we weren't able to get it to 3000 nits of brightness. On auto mode is when you can actually get that peak brightness, and the maximum that we were able to see was around 1500 nits of brightness, which is half of what's advertised. So there's a possibility that in some scenarios it can go up to 3000, but normally we were able to see around 800 indoors, and then when we took it outside, around 1500 nits of peak brightness. If we talk about performance, this does not disappoint in any way whatsoever. Now, this does not come with the Snapdragon's 8 Gen 3 chip, which is the latest that every flagship has nowadays, but nevertheless, this actually beat the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip, because this comes with Mediatek's 9300 chip, which is the latest chip right now out there, and this is actually the first phone that I've reviewed that has the Mediatek's Dymensity 9300 chip. And when we looked at Antutu, this gave us 2.05 million points, which is right up there with the 8 Gen 3 chip. This actually beats every phone that has the 8 Gen 2 chip, which is last year's flagship, 2023's flagship. Still not an old chipset, but this will beat even that, and this is equally as good. And before I proceed further, I just want to mention that even though this is a flagship, it's not really flagship category when it comes to the pricing. So that's probably the most impressive part about this. I already mentioned that this is cheaper by around $500 lesser than the S24 Ultra. So, and it's actually beating it at its own game. So this camera wise is a pretty good phone, even though yes, it's not a 200 megapixel camera. It doesn't have that 5 times telephoto 50 megapixel camera, but it's not a bad camera at all. And the display is also pretty good. The brightness is pretty good. The battery is actually even better. The charging is actually better. Performance wise is equally as good as well. So this is what I'm talking about when I refer to phones that come out with innovation and things that you don't see every day out of cheap phones, or phones that are not really considered flagship category, or a company that's not really known to make flagship phones, but then you see something like this and you're like, wow. And that's what I kind of don't like about Samsung, that it's expected from Samsung to be the best of the best, but sometimes they really are not. And you see companies like this making equally good performing phones as well. So a lot of people really didn't like my Samsung video, and I understand that, but this is my point. This is what I'm talking about. Now, if we talk about the back camera system, this comes with 3 50 megapixel cameras. We have a main 50 megapixel camera, which is the wide lens, and all of cameras actually have a very different focal length. So the main wide camera comes with a 23 millimeter focal length. The second 50 megapixel camera, which is the periscope telephoto, comes with 100 millimeters, and it also has 4.3 times optical zoom and optical image stabilization. And the third 50 megapixel camera, which is the ultra wide, has a 15 millimeter focal length, and it also has 119 degrees field of view. Now, the good thing about all 3 cameras is that whatever mode you're shooting at, it will always have electronic image stabilization on by default. So any camera that you're shooting, any mode that you're shooting at, it's always going to have that stabilization aspect. The only thing that I did see is that the periscope camera, the telephoto camera, didn't have, the stabilization was not as good as it was on the main and the ultra wide, but nevertheless you're still getting that. And this can record in 8K resolution and 30 FPS. You'll get 4K at 30 and 60 FPS, and you can also then shoot at 1080p resolution at 30 and 60 FPS as well. And this is right there with the OnePlus. This is right there with Samsung. I mean, maybe Samsung has a little bit of a better camera, but it's still not. I mean, it's very difficult to tell which is which, because not only is the processing really good, but the collaboration with Zeiss actually looks like it makes a difference, because the color, the image processing, the night video, the overall picture quality is pretty good. And this will take out photos in, even though the camera is 50 megapixels, but the final photo will be equivalent to around 12 megapixels regardless of what camera you're shooting with. And when it comes to the front camera, you know, as much as the back cameras are, the front camera is actually not that good, even though it's a 32 megapixel camera. But I mean, it still has that beauty effect, which I don't like. And it only shoots at 1080p resolution. So I've seen other cameras shoot at 4K as well with the front cameras. This one only shoots in 1080p resolution. And then when we talk about the battery, they're not disappointing there either, because this comes with a above average battery, which has a 54 milliampere battery. So this outlasts any other phone that will come with the 5000 milliampere battery. And then you're getting this massive 120 watt charger out of the box, even though this will only charge it at 100 watts. Nevertheless, that's pretty good. And in, I think, 0 to 50%, this charged it in about 15 minutes, or maybe just a little bit less than that. And 0 to 100%, I think this gave us around 25 to 30 minutes, something like that. So that's pretty good in my opinion. And then this also has 50 watts of wireless charging. So this is the second phone that I've seen that has 50 watts of wireless charging, the OnePlus. And then this is the second phone that I have that I'm reviewing that also has the same thing. And this also has reverse wireless charging, although I'm not sure about the wattage for the reverse wireless charging. This is a pretty good phone in my opinion, an underrated phone, an underdog. If I was to describe this phone, not only does it look pretty, it feels premium, and pretty much every single aspect of this phone is top notch. The operating system on this, you'll get Android 14 by default, and then you'll get Vivo's own FunTouch 14 for the international version, and then you'll get Origin OS 4 for the Chinese version. And on top of that, this also comes in with a built-in V3 chip, which is the image processing chip. So not only is the Mediatek chip adding to that, but it has a dedicated chip that's used for image processing, so you know that you're making a good investment. And then finally, if we talk about the pricing, guys, this I don't know if it was hard for me to believe, this costs $750. $750 for a phone that is equally as good as the OnePlus 12, equally as good. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but I think this is equally as good as the Samsung S24 Ultra, with some exceptions. But nevertheless, guys, $750, that's nearly $500 less than the S24 Ultra. That's about $300 less than, or about $200 less than the OnePlus 12. So in my opinion, this is a win-win. And if we convert that into dirhams, that's just around, I believe, 3,500 dirhams, something like that. It's not, I don't think it's really officially available in the UAE. I'm gonna have to check that again. But guys, that's not a bad price in my opinion, because you're getting so much phone. I mean, flagship level. This is a flagship phone. There's no doubt about it. But you're not spending really flagship amounts of money. I mean, this costs less than one of the iPhone 15s right now. So guys, this is my review on the Vivo X100 Pro. Let me know what you guys think about this. Does this phone excite you? Do phones like this interest you? Is this something that you are looking forward to buying, considering that we have phones like the S24 Ultra, we have phones like the OnePlus 12? Is this something that will attract you more? Let me know what you think about this down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.